find out how you can make yourself irreplaceable or dispensable in that space, because and that's not like a easy 5 seconds you got it. That's gonna take some time to think about. Like, think about it and come up with that and then go do it. How to grow a fan base, tell me. And it'll give me a whole essay on this is what you should do to grow your fan base and take someone from 0 to 1,000 fans in whatever genre you're looking for. You can make it genre specific.
It's destroying the artist space, which I didn't even think that would be possible. Like, how can AI recreate art? Like, how do you know the concept of art? But you understood what it feels like to be that 15-year-old kid on FrostWire, like, bam, downloading this shit. Like, this is wild. No kid is gonna try and sit down in a classroom for like 8 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. That's just brutal. Like, the attention span is just dissolved to nothingness. There has to be another way to get these kids engaged, to be excited about learning.
I'm like, you're 22 in high school? What? Like, on campus? And as in, you can be up to 22 years old and still attend high school campus with like 14-year-old kids. They can say they're there to support you, but they really want to support you doing something that fits their vision for your life.
I'll give you kind of my point of view. I'm curious what you think. If I'm an artist, I know that I only get 24 hours a day, but I can only work like on a good day 12 of those, because I gotta eat, you gotta sleep. You need 8 hours of sleep. You got 4 hours to try to maybe squeeze a 16 if you want to, right? In the studio trying to produce, right? But you do get like writer's block, right? At some point you get artist block, where you kind of figure out like, man, I don't know what to create. I need some inspiration. It feels like AI would be a great agent, to essentially like a music agent, helping someone, just like how the record labels have right now, right? Helping someone, whether it be find ways to market their business, their artistry, even find lyrics that they want to do, things to inspiration with. I feel like AI is a really good way of just trying to help someone manage their musical, production or business, give them advice on how to be able to really get their music to show more on a marketing standpoint. But as a creative, I'm really curious on your perspective of like, as a creative, what could you use AI to actually help you kind of like explore? Like, I don't know if you really dumped it, you just kind of stress your brain there.
It's kind of tough, because from what I've seen so far, the best use of AI is when someone who knows how to use it puts in what they're looking for. Like, AI is not coming up with this stuff on their own. Like, it's not just press play and
it's not like Cynthia.
You give it a set of like a set of parameters, and it creates along what you gave it. So the more you know what you're looking for, the better result you'll get. So from a creative standpoint, when it first, I'm still learning how to use it as well. I'm trying to incorporate more into what I'm doing. I first said, write me a R&B song, write me a song like this. And the song was whack. It was a whack song. It was all right. Then, one time I asked it to do research on, I've asked it a couple times actually, how to grow a fan base, tell me. And it'll give me a whole essay on this is what you should do to grow your fan base and take someone from 0 to 1,000 fans in whatever genre you're looking for. You can make it genre specific. And I'm reading it, I'm like, there's some good stuff in here. Like, this is very good. And even with school, now I'm using it to write assignments for my students. So instead of sitting there and taking an hour or whatever to synthesize whatever topic into a assignment, I just say, write me a genre study assignment, and it'll write a whole thing in like 30 seconds, and I'll read it, and I'm like, yep, it's good. So creatively, I don't know, I'm blessed to where when I experience or feel like I'm creating a lot of the same material as an artist, I just go outside and get more experiences and then come back with new things to talk about.
Sure.
So I haven't used it to help me write a song, but I'm trying to use it more, I guess, on the fringes. You gave me a good idea. I need to use it more for business and see what I can pull from it that way. So.
Because think about it this way, right? Because you also have the other side. I'm recognizing the clothing. Is that your? This is your.
This is actually everything I'm wearing is my homie. Shout out to Hypeland.
Dude, it's
Made
clean
the
work.
shirt, made the pants, made the chain, like everything.
So I'm curious because now that's a whole nother dynamic. There's a big thing right now
That'd be interesting.
where AI is generating, literally making like banger clothes, like
Really?
well, especially like graphics, right? Like literally digital creators, digital artists, right, are having just getting destroyed right now because you what would take someone. I mean, how long? Like probably a good decade to master how to draw art, create it, digitally make art. AI can do it in like literally seconds, and it's better work. When they first look at ChatGPT, right, the first initial like paintings, and then looking at it now, like I think we're in ChatGPT 4 or 5 right now. It's like,
I didn't even know it could do that. So you could ask it to make you a painting.
dude, for real. It's all.
I might ask it to make a cover art, see what it does.
It's Share. What is it? Is it ChatGPT or is it something different?
I've only
Different
used
one.
ChatGPT.
Okay, do you remember? Yeah. So it's wild though. It's absolutely crazy because you'll like write a prompt, right? Like literally, I'm trying to do some aspect, like really less random stuff, like the meaning of life, and AI will just come up with something.
I wouldn't ask it that. I'm cool off of that.
Well, I'm really
see what it does.
Just trying to see because like this AI is in such a weird space, especially what we thought it was gonna take over was like the kind of like lawyers, like the hard work stuff,
Right.
But it's destroying the artist space, which I didn't even think that would be possible. Like, how can AI recreate art? Like, how do you know the concept of art, right? And then just realizing now, like, wait, actually, we AI does the same thing we do. We observe the world and then we in our own way, right, interpret it, right, through paintings, through music, through whatever, right? So they observe information and then they convert it into whatever they see fit. And so I'm feeling like this is really, really cool because it gives like, creators, like if I'm 15 right now, oh my gosh, you know what your world's going to look like in like 10 years?
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. The ability that especially if you start like really getting into it, you're gonna be able to build your own media company, branding company, artists you can literally create just because you skip. There's so much education you don't have to do, because like one of the things I really think about, like if you actually look at like right now, let's say for example education, right? If you look at the education system, if I really wanted to. If I took my kid, right, and I just like went inside a dark hole, and I just said, look, the only thing you're gonna do is be on the internet, they could literally they can get a PhD in pretty much every single subject. All the information is on the internet. They don't really have to attend school, right? They don't really have to go attend college. All the information they want to become there's research papers on the internet. There's books upon books of studying like material that people want to all free of access to use. That anyone wants to get in touch with and be able to, and if you can figure out, like, if AI literally, if you just probably asked ChatGPT and said, hey, AI, I want you to get me a master's, get me caught up. Like, I'm in elementary school, right? I need a step-by-step being caught up in, let's say, physics, or like, how do I need to get, like, okay, not elementary school, but like middle school and like high school level. How do I get caught up in this? What should be my step? What should be my day by day? Give me and let me learn. Let me get it down in a year, right? And I bet you it should be a cool. Read this book, this book, this book, this. I'm going to test this actually. But you don't understand because right now we look at it, right? Education system is so far behind, right? Because you have all these resources on the internet, but no one's tapping into it. And I'm so happy to hear that you're like, okay, let me start building these lesson plans, right? Utilizing this tool because it's so smart. It just saves you time.
Yeah. I'm just trying
powerful.
to use it to help me save time, really, because there's not enough time in the day for much of anything nowadays. And for me personally, more stuff is getting added to my plate every month. So I'm trying to use, everything I can to just get that advantage for real.
So what did you change about the education side of if you had full control of your kind of music kind of classroom, right?
Right.
You know what's coming. because you lived through it. You lived through, but you didn't understand the business repercussions of what was happening. But you understood what it feels like to be that 15-year-old kid on FrostWire, like, bam, downloading this shit. Like, this is wild, right? You understand that kind of concept that's going to be happening, right? How would you want to? What would you wish your teacher told you about that kind of, like? Did you wish that was in school? Low key, like your music teacher saying, "Cool guys, this is FrostWire, okay, guys." Like straight up, would that be cool to have like your music teacher, if you were in high school, sit you down and say, "Cool guys, FrostWire, let me get you guys caught up on how the music industry is changing," right? I don't know too much about what your specific classroom role is, but I'm curious what your thoughts are behind that.
That'd be interesting. I definitely did not have a class like mine in high school. I wish I did, but that's why I'm doing it now. So I'm blessed to where I write the class and I can teach them whatever I want. So I'm basically taking all the information I have or what I've seen out there and trying to synthesize it down into only telling them what they need to know. Like, this will get you paid and make you this much money doing this or that. And if they want to go deeper into things, then so be it. Almost like a college course. I've dialed it back some because there are still kids, so I can't just say, here's assignment, go do it, because they won't do it. So I have to kind of hold their hand through some of it. But really synthesizing what's out there and saying, hey, you can learn everything you want about engineering, about songwriting, about what all of these topics, I can teach this entire course on just one topic. But here's the fundamentals, the basics of, if you do this, you'll go make some money, and then you can take it and get as good as you want at it. So that's kind of how I do it. But a lot of my students, the kids that I've been interacting with, they don't really care about music.
Oh, they're just doing it just because it's a class. Okay.
No, but in general, I think a lot of that happened when TikTok came out. Probably before that, probably streaming before that. But music itself, this is like, it's been kind of going on this sliding scale downhill. Like when it was vinyl records, you ran to the store, you waited in line, you bought the record. Then it was CDs, you bought the CD, you opened it, you had a physical thing to hold in your hand. You had booklets, you had data, like this person played guitar on this song. Now going into streaming, that touch point is gone. The initial, like, there's nothing you're holding in your hand. You're holding a phone with a picture that has 1,000 different pictures on there. So that could possibly be why some of these kids nowadays, they just listen to what they like, or playlists, or just whatever. They don't have a following of an artist anymore. They're not like, oh, I know where this person lives, or I know who their friends are. I know every song on this album. I know who produced every song. I know their engineer. You really only have that level of it if you're really a fan of either music or that person now. But I'll say it started with streaming, and TikTok pushed it even further to where nowadays people are passive listeners of music.
What did TikTok do specifically, do you think, in your mind?
Music, it's getting diluted in the sense that people don't value it as much as far as a general consumer. They value almost everything around the music more so than the music itself. What does this person have on? How many chains they got? What kind of car they drive? How many followers they have? What does the music video look like? How many people are in the clip at the show? More so than what does the actual song sound like? What does it make you feel? So when streaming came out, it lowered the barrier of entry. Now anybody can do a song. There were some good things and some bad things to that. With TikTok, now the barrier of creation is even lower. You're rewarded if you just pull your phone out and do something. That's the content that really works on TikTok. Not, I'm going to like this, I'm going to overproduce that. And
the well-prepared.
And that stuff will work on Instagram or other places.
But you want the raw.
TikTok is more so just pull your phone out and do something. That's really what it's about.
So you're seeing this, right? And you're an artist. Damn good one. How do you try to connect with the youth? Because you know that's where it starts, right? Catching fire with the youth is how you just...
Right.
what would be kind of your, because you're working with them, right? You're kind of seeing. I'm not sure if this is obviously your target, like the children you're working with is the target like audience for you, but like right, anything if you can get the youth to be adopted into it, then they're gonna carry that for pretty much the rest of their life. Knowing that this is the trend, do you feel like what the shift would be for music, it should be to become more raw, right, than it already is, or do you feel like, okay, how do I bring back the soul between the music and the person?
That's kind of where I'm at. Mainly, like, I don't know. It's hard because as much as I get told do singles or do this or do that, this is what works. I also, to some degree, don't care about any of that. And when I did care about it, is when I was at my most unstable mentally, because the trends change every week, every day. So if you're following the trend, you'll be all over the place. But when I just took a break and like paused for a moment and said, what really moves me? What do I really want to put out there? What do I want to stand for? Later down the line, maybe when my career's over with, like, who would they say I am? And just moving only in that space, I'm more at ease and more happy with what I'm creating, and I feel like it also connects more with people as well. So the kids, with me, when I show them what I do or whatever, there's a connection there that they have for a few reasons. One, they can tell, like, okay, this is real. No matter what you're doing, people are always going to respect real things. Like, oh, this, I can tell, like, he didn't make this up. This is really a real emotion that he's feeling or going through. And the fact that that they can reach me, like, oh, I see him, he's my teacher, like, I see him every day. I can talk to him, I can ask him things, he'll listen to me, he'll talk to me. So that builds it that way. And then also the fact that I look like them. So I guess being young does help, as much as I think it doesn't matter as much anymore. But I think off rip, they connect with me. I have an easier time building connections because I'm closer in age to them. I dress cool. I guess I look young versus other teachers like, oh, that's a teacher. They look at me more like a big brother than a teacher.
I feel like one of the things I really wish the education side of things, I wish it grew with the culture as well. I feel like not so like socially, politically, just trying to like stay woke, but more, I mean, like on like the how children are learning, because okay, I have to, if I'm an educator, right, if I'm a marketer, okay, and I know what is the trend, what's gonna get people, what's gonna go viral. Let's say I'm just like AI, bro. Like,
yeah,
I'm just plugged the Matrix. I'm plugged in. I know what's going on. I could put on. Now you can go viral, right? Mostly off of the negative content that you're gonna put out. Like if I put up like homies fighting, it's gonna that's just blow up because people love seeing that, right?
Yeah.
But there's a way that I think there's possible to be able to put out content that's actually educational, right? That could be beneficial. That could be like, that I think a kid would want to be super excited about, right? And I feel like the school system should be more attuned to like, okay, look, no kid is going to try and sit down in a classroom for like 8 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. That's just brutal. Like, the attention span is just dissolved to nothingness. There has to be another way to get these kids engaged, to be excited about learning, excited about music, getting them about like real music, like some real soulful, like, feels whatever. I'm not saying like, Snoop Dogg back in the day wasn't soulful, but he had a little bit, he was talking about the culture of like what he was going on. And I feel like, if educators can get really good at trying to meet the kids where they are, right, and slowly draw them as they get older into like, hey, look, you got to pick up a book. How important is a book? It's really good to read. Like, okay, let me give you a book. Now that I've learned how to communicate on your level, now I need to get you up to where you need to communicate on ours. Do you feel like the education system should adapt more to like the now technology world that we live in, or should stay kind of like, hey, look, this is the only place that that has traditional values. Yeah, what is your thoughts
I mean, I
behind?
think it definitely has to, because if it doesn't, then maybe at some point people are just going to stop going to school. So for me, that's a good point you make about, as an adult, I don't even like sitting in a room for 6 hours at a training. I'm fried already. Unless it's something I really care about and the instructor's really good in teaching me things that I don't know. But after a while, you just get like, it's just much. You take breaks or whatever. Um, so it's crazy to expect that of kids, like, who can't sit still for 30 minutes. And I don't know. So I try to create my classroom a little bit more free flowing, as in sometimes I'll give them choices, say, hey, I prepared multiple things for us to do today. You pick which one we're doing. How are you guys feeling today? And then they'll give me an option. I'll do that. But also on the flip side, structure is very, very important, because without structure, you kind of just float off or get lost doing this thing or that thing. So I think that's what school provides. It provides a structured environment for you to learn something. There's an order of steps. There's, a beginning all the way up to now you can do this if you apply yourself. I think it all just depends on figuring out what type of learners you have and being able to hit that target. So it's really like school is a business. Like, you, as much as we don't want to say it, I can definitely speak for me, as I have a target audience when I teach. And I'm trying to reach a very specific person or group of people. And I've had students who don't fit that demographic who maybe failed the class, like, for whatever reason. And just like in a business, how you can't hit everybody, I can't reach everybody as a teacher. I had kids in my class who didn't speak English. Like, you know how much work it would be for me to translate the whole lesson I just did, when I'm not, this is not scripted. I'm going, like, people are asking questions. I'm like, how hard it would be for me to translate that, and like everything, how much extra work on top of grading on top, and I don't have an assistant. Maybe if I had more infrastructure around me, I could figure it out. But the job is already extremely hard. So I'm not trying to make it harder on myself. So I've had some colleagues who, they did translate the work for their students, and they still didn't do it. So it's a weird thing, like feeling like you kind of reach who you can and hope that, people around it catch on and figure out. Just like a business.
Jeez, dude.
Same thing.
You're do you want more?
I'll take some more.
All right, hey, we're gonna get some more water. Sarah, do you mind taking some water? Thank you, Sarah. The thing here I'm curious about, right? You're mentioning that, like, you would have students in your class. What grade is this?
9 through 12.
They don't speak English.
Yeah, I got
the people are just passing them through the.
And that's the cold part about it. I've had students who it's a very, very interesting dynamic. Like, I got students who, they literally told me, "Oh, just pass this person through, because this person they're not going to be a lawyer, doctor, nothing major in life. We're just trying to pass them through so they can just get into trade school and maybe wash some dishes and just get them inserted into society some kind of way, because maybe they have I have students in high school,
Bruh.
which, again, I don't know how this is possible. I don't have the answers. I'm learning as I go along, who are reading at a kindergarten level, and they're in the 9th grade.
No.
I was reading at a high school level when I was in the 2nd grade. I'm just like, something is not right. It's not working here. So it's interesting, man. Like, it's the school system, at least the district I'm in. I know other districts aren't necessarily like that. Some are more organized, but there's just so many layers on top of. It's not just about, did you get an A or F? I learned the other day that after 22, you get kicked out. Like you can't be in high school past 22. Regardless if you're a senior, as soon as you turn 22, and at least in California, you're done. Like that's over with. I don't even know if you can even get your GED. Or I don't know. I don't. Somebody might have to fact check me on that. But
No, that's
I'm like, you're 22 in high school. What? Like on campus, and as in you can be up to 22 years old and still attend high school campus with like 14-year-old kids.
and their solution is to kick them out. That's the solution.
They like
The solution is, well, we're getting a lot of kids at 22 years old still in high school. So what should we do, Congressman? Let's just kick them out. Let's kick them out.
Yeah, it said it happened. I don't think it's a California specific situation because I got told about an example where the kid moved to Vegas and he turned 22 and he couldn't go to high school no more. So it might be a federal thing. Oh, the world is big, man. It's like a big world, and things are moving so fast now with technology and digital that sometimes the infrastructure can't keep up fast enough and follow behind what's happening.
I just don't believe that, though. I really don't. The reason I think that is because someone is educating the people, right? Somebody is educating the people to create, right, the technology.
Right.
And they're using that technology for all the people at the bottom to utilize, right? So someone's creating the technology, right? Right. They understand their people more than the education understand their people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everyone is understanding who their customer is, right? Like school, at school's customer is supposed to be, right, the student, because if you have no students attending your school, then you're not going to get money.
Right.
That's not how it works. That's, I think, if I would do this hot take, right? Super hot take, but I do a voucher system. I would tell parents, like, look, you get a voucher. No redlining. Go anywhere you want. Go to Oklahoma. I'll take your kid to Oklahoma. You in California, look, I don't care how you get them there, okay? Parachute them to school. Figure out whatever. If you want to take your kid to the best school possible, take that voucher you got, walk up into some place, hand them that voucher, and be like, boom, here you go. My kid's going here. I feel like I think that should be the way. People should have to earn. School should be like, hey, come to our school. Give us your vouchers. Come to us. Okay, we got this going on. This is our passing rate. This is what we're doing for our this is our kids go to Harvard. They go to right, cool. We're taking kids who are coming from struggling schools, getting them in a year or two caught up to be able to, right? We're the newest technology, because that's what it should be. It shouldn't just be like, well, you have to come here. Hey, your property tax, this is what it pays for. Talk to your Congress. Talk to your city councilman. Like, it just feels so disingenuous. So that's so hurtful to hear, that children who are who may not know the language, right? Children who are having a hard time reading are getting discarded. So then I'm gonna take the pressure off the school. Let's go the other side. Home music, right, is all about parents listen to music. They kind of let their kids listen to it. The parents give them a phone, lets their kids use TikTok, right? They control that kind of that dynamic, right? If you were a parent, what type of music would you kind of let your kids listen to? How would you try to get them into try to steer them into that soulful music, knowing that TikTok is very good at what it does?
That's a tough question. I think as of right now, I'll let them listen to whatever they want. But when I get them, I do this with my nephew, where when he's in the car with me, I'll try to play specific things, either what I'm genuinely feeling at the time, I might play that, or I used to purposefully play a lot of critically acclaimed artists around him. Here's Kendrick Lamar, here's J. Cole, here's Tupac, here's Georgia Smith, Jay-Z, whoever it is, just so he can hear that. That's what my dad did for me, and I think that's part of why I loved music so much. My dad played a lot of Michael Jackson, Jay-Z, T.I., Prince, or whoever it was, and I just fell in love with it. So I'm all for letting them explore whatever they want out there, but then having the foundation to say, okay, this is maybe what I like or what do you. I create an exchange. I do this with my students too. I don't go into the classroom like I know everything. I'm like, you guys, I'm also here to learn from you. You guys are putting me on to things that I didn't know before I got here, whether it's music, artists, whether it's lingo, whether it's what is your neighborhood like. I'm not from where you're from, so how does it work over there? And now I'm learning different things, from how your interpretation of the world is. So I definitely treat them as an equal in a sense where this is an exchange of information that's going on, but I understand that I have more, years. I'm older than you, so let me also create some foundation as to, okay, like, let me hold your hand a little bit, walk you through this.
Do you feel like teachers need to play the role of kind of life coaching?
That's exactly what it is.
Oh.
Well, actually, let me take a step back. That's what I do. I think if you have that gift or talent to do that, then by all means do it. Because the kids are going to look for that somewhere. As a kid, even as an adult, I feel like you find people that you gravitate to, that you want things from. Whether it's you like what this person has, you like how they are with their family, you like how they are in their career. We all have people at every stage in life that we want to be like. However, when you're younger, those examples are, I feel, a lot more scattered and not as cohesive, because maybe anybody who drives a nice car is like, I want to be like them, I want that car. Or maybe anybody who you see on TV that I don't know too much about this person, but he's on TV with these cars and clothes and on this boat, like, I want that too. Versus when you get older, it gets a little bit more focused and like, okay, no, I know what I want. I know this person is doing that. Let me see what they're doing.
Something I've been thinking about, right? This is something I was really interested in this conversation because of this one next question I'm going to ask you. I try to save it towards the end, okay? Have you had a chance to kind of talk to the parents of the students?
The crazy part with my specific school, I don't really see too many parents. Like, we've had parent-teacher conferences. I've had probably at least two, like once a semester. I've probably had 3-4 parents show up ever and I have 200 students. And I'll sit there for the 2 hours at the conferences and one might come, if that. So, I don't know, like, the school wants me as a teacher to be calling the parents for everything. Your student was late, your student was absent or was walking around, your student is failing. And there's just so many things to do. I think for me, a strength, but also maybe to a detriment to some sense, is I didn't want to be a teacher. I'm not just a teacher. I have other things going on. So when I'm here and I'm building the best program I can make and providing the best service to the students that's in my ability. But I have 100 other things going on that I have to get done also. So I don't have the time to put all of my eggs in this teacher basket and be calling parents all day when I got to write lesson plans, I got to grade, I got to manage the classroom. I take extra steps to plan career plans with each student in my class.
Career
I
plans?
meet with each of them individually and say, how are you? What's going on in your life? What are your plans for after high school? Or you don't have any, let's figure it out. That might take 30 minutes times 200 students. So, I mean, I prefer to use my time other places. Like, I could call you every time your student is late, but I don't know what your life is like. I don't know what you're going through as a parent. Just because you're mom or dad doesn't mean you don't have different things you're dealing with. Me calling you saying your student's late could be the last thing you want to hear in a day. So, I mean, I don't know. I have a style, and I am working on building and mastering that style even more. And also, I'm taking what I see other people doing, and whatever works, I use it.
What advice would you give to a parent? Knowing that AI is coming, kind of knowing that, like, you as an artist, right? You are not just, again, I don't want to put a label that you're just a teacher here, okay? But not just an educator. You're an artist. You're someone who has utilized this to help you with it within your
Right.
music world, right? In terms of like the educational side, right? Haven't tapped into it to like with your brand, right? But I'm really curious here, like if there's a kid out there, right, who's like has some work, wants likes music in some way, wants to produce, wants to engineer, wants to create, wants to make music, want to be a writer, want to be a singer, rapper, musician, I don't know, piano player, whatever, right?
Right.
And you're a parent, this is the system that your school, your child is in. How would you tell them to be best involved of like what you need to do, maybe like in the home, what they should be doing, kind of like understanding the kind of school dynamic? What would be kind of your advice to someone who's trying to make it in the music?
Really, as to a parent, I would tell them to just support your kids in whatever they're doing. Something my parents did, and I feel like a lot of parents do, is they can say they're there to support you, but they really want to support you doing something that fits their vision for your life. So if your parents want you to be a firefighter, and you say, "Oh, I want to be a sports scientist," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, cool. Like, go do that." But then let some firefighter stuff come up. It's like, "Oh, here's this school. Here's this chief. We got this for you." There's definitely a trade-off between how much effort some parents can put into supporting kids relates to certain things. So for me, when it was like basketball, I really wanted to do basketball for a while. I didn't get as much support into basketball as I did with like public speaking or school related things. Because obviously, and I kind of appreciate them for that to some degree, because when I got to college and the opportunity came to play at the college level, I didn't take it because I'm like, this really isn't what I want to do. So I just say, parents, support your kids in whatever they think at the time, regardless of how outlandish it sounds, whatever, if you think it's a phase, because one time maybe it won't be. Literally everything I have on right now is a result of one of my friends being 13 years old and saying, I want to start a brand. I like drawing. And, had his mom been like, you're not going to do that. You know how many kids out here got brands or whatever. It's LA, you know how many whatever. But no, his mom correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll tell me. But like at some point, I believe she quit her job to fully support what her son was doing. She bet everything she had on her son's vision and the plan that he said he wanted to do. And she believed in him. And she, all the way from when it was time to apply for college, she would write his essays for him so he could have more time to focus on his brand. He never had a job, never worked a job, because his mom would, maybe hustle a little harder to provide more for him, or like, help him. We're gonna help your business make money. So that support, like, a very smart guy, so he probably still would have made it regardless, but he made it so much faster because of the support he had with his mom, who had different skill sets throughout the way, that had she not been there, or had she not been as supportive, the story probably would have went differently.
There are people who are really thinking about this. College is expensive. It's really expensive.
Right.
And there's so many people. It's like you keep hearing these examples of a individual after individual after individual who didn't graduate college, damn near didn't graduate high school. Some people didn't even graduate high school.
Right.
Becoming millionaires. I hate to say this, right? Because we're in a capitalist environment, right? If you're able to be that so financially wealthy, and you don't even have like traditional education, then like, and you hear these stories, right, of people who are like just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, the whole family starts coming together, colliding, like, okay, how can we make this happen for you?
Yeah.
What can we do to support you in this scenario? What do you think matters more, going through college, right, or just like being like hyper focused and dedicated on like one craft. Like I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but like higher education, right? See, like this feels like the same thing. But my question is how you're seeing what's happening to your students as they're going through school, right? And those kids, I feel like they can be successful. I don't know if you I don't know, maybe, but I feel like maybe some of them can actually be successful. I think
For
so.
sure. I believe anybody is capable of anything. You can't look at somebody, regardless of what they know, whatever, and say where their life is going to turn out. You never know. I think the issue with the school system, at least in America, is, from what I've seen, it's very split. Like they'll tell you, go to college is definitely the push that's being pushed on the students. There's college pennants in preschool classes. But then as teachers, different trainings they give us, we're starting to get videos and discourse on telling them that college is not for everybody. But I feel like it's more it's almost like some people aren't smart enough for it, is how it's kind of being disseminated to teachers. That's really like the underlying subtext of it. But the real thing is college is, no one thing is for everybody. Like for me, college was drilled into me, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to college. But when I went, I met one of my best friends who led me to doing music. Like, I don't know, my journey would have went a lot different had I not gone to college. And it was mainly the networking aspect of it that changed everything for me, not what I learned in the classroom or what I did outside. Versus some people who, there are some things you don't need to go to college for. If you want to be an electrician, you don't need to go to college for that. If you want to be a artist, you don't need to go to college for that. If you want to be a lawyer, yes, you got to. If you want to be a doctor, yeah. So I don't think there's one cookie cutter solution for everybody. And the problem with the education system is it's marketed as we're here to teach everybody, and you're really not. It's not gonna happen.
I think you just kind of helped me adjust something. Where I was always kind of big on telling people what to do.
Right.
Hey, look, dude, this is what we got. This is the plan. This is what we got. You got to get this, step this, do this. Once you do this, this will happen. Boom, bada, bing, bam, bow. You know. But you took a very different approach it makes a lot more sense. Instead of telling people what to do, ask them, what do you want to do? And then say, okay, this is what you want to do. All right. Then just go hyper focus on that. Right? And so, like, if a kid's like, I want to go become a doctor, you do? Awesome. So let's do it. It seems like you don't give them any other options. You don't want to, like, put that doubt in their mind. Like, they're not going to do it. It's like, oh, you want to be a doctor? You sure you can go through 10 years of school? You sure you can do this? You sure you can? You sure? Right? And it puts this thing in their brain, or it makes them feel like, maybe I shouldn't become a doctor. Well, then what should I do? Well, I don't know. Then everything's screwed because of that one little piece of doubt that you put in someone's brain. So it seems like your approach is very different. It's just support. Cool. That's what you want to do? Sure. Cool. Why? Sounds like a good why. All right, let's go do it. Let's run it. Is that kind of how you're running it? Because it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Do you feel like that's the way school should be structured? At like, what age do you think someone can really pinpoint on what they want to do? Because it's really tough to that question, you know.
There's no way to tell because everybody's different. Some kids, when they're in middle school, like.
What about you? Let's just use you for example.
Okay.
If you said if you had music earlier, that was the only regret we talked about. So the only thing I would change is if I wish I did this sooner.
Because I knew I always loved music, but I just had no support to go pursue it. Literally from 3 years old, I knew I loved music. I mean, I had a little bit. They tried to put me in guitar lessons, but it didn't really stick. There was a piano in the house, but I never tried to. I wasn't a self-starter as a kid, so I needed someone there to direct me in whatever I was trying to do. But it wasn't until I got in this program at church where this guy was teaching how to write, how to rap, like how to write verses, how to count bars. That changed everything for me. Like,
What age was that?
I was like a junior in high school. I was about 17 at the time.
If it's 17, okay, Mr. Bishop, come here. This is a counselor, right? How would you want that conversation to go? Whether it's a counselor, a parent, a friend, a aunt, a niece, a nephew, like how would you being the person who's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do in my life, right? But it's little Bishop, okay, and I'm sitting with you and I'm telling you my answer, right? Okay, what do you want to do? Honestly, I'm at this church. Rap music is like this, like learning how. I love it. I could do this for the rest of my life. Right now, I could do that shit for the rest of my life, right? How would you kind of what would you want to hear, like?
Just support. It's funny. Actually met a lady who, at a conference where she kind of did that for her kids. Whatever they wanted, she went 1,000% into it. Now she has a son who's a photographer for the Lakers. He always liked taking pictures. She fed that, watered that plant, and now that's what he does. She's another son who loved producing, so she found all kind of resources everywhere for him at the beginning. Now he's like the director of licensing for Disney as it relates to music. And she has a daughter who's doing something else. And because whatever they wanted to do, she watered it. It was never no, you can't do that. Or you sure you want to do something else? Or I don't know about that. This is what you want to do? All right, let's go research and find some things. I'm going to ask around for different resources for this field that you want to do. And it stuck. So I wish somebody would have done that for me. It was always portrayed to me that music was, some people are born to do that, or it's like a fad, or you can't really do a career with that. When there's millions of jobs in music, regardless of if you're an artist, if you're in business, if you're in video, if you're in marketing, if you're in staging, performing, there's so many different things around there. So it's like, regardless of if the kid changes their mind at some point, are they really going to go that far from what they want to do? Are they going to say, hey, I want to be an artist. You know what? I want to be an astronaut. I mean, they might fall somewhere within the blast radius of artists. You know, I didn't like the artist thing, but management is cool. Or I didn't like this artist thing, but I like being a stylist and styling artists. And I don't know, so just supporting them in what they want to do. At the very worst case, they will have an entire year's worth of skill set that they can then use to go apply somewhere else. So with being an artist, right, you learn how to, you're really teaching someone how to run a business. You're teaching them what are the pieces you need to create a team? How do you monetize? How do you do you know what everybody's doing? What makes a good person? How do you assemble a good team? How do you present yourself? What's your target audience? There's a lot of things that will apply themselves to any level of business just from learning how to be a great artist.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yo, I have a pushback.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious on what your thoughts behind this. Kid says, I want to be sounds crazy, okay?
I feel like I know where you're going to go.
Okay. I want to be a graphic designer.
Okay.
I was going to say a factory worker, but I want to be a graphic designer, okay? AI is coming.
Right.
And you're a parent. And you're just like, fuck. Okay, listen, son. Because you have these computers just making pictures like that, okay? Hold up. And then you got AIs making bots that can make some music like that, You get all these, okay, I sound crazy. Sarah's laughing right now, but like, man, it's so hard because you had this kid, you raised this kid, you got to this point, and you're just nervous because what if the kid wants to do something? Because people are losing their jobs right now. Like, there's a ton of graphic designers getting deleted because why do I need you? Why do you need a website designer? AI can make you a website in 3 minutes. Literally, you can put the prompt in. It'll give you. I figure out how to. Hey, what do you want your website to look like? How do you want to structure the whole website? Boom. Look, what's the point of having a website designer? What's the point of having anything? So you kind of put yourself in a position. You're like, how do you compete with this world that's about to come? You know. And I can see as a parent where you're sitting there like, I don't know if like you can't. It's gonna be hard for AI to replace a lawyer. I mean, not really. Actually, a lawyer's getting deleted. But like a doctor, any hands-on plumber, like a doctor fixing someone, it's gonna be hard for a bot to, like, you know, right? Yeah. So I'm curious on kind of like, I think what the last statement you said is still true, but like, how do you make that sell when you're gonna tell them that, hey, if it doesn't work, they still got 5 years of experience. 10 years of experience, of learning how to build something. It didn't work, right? But they can use that experience to apply something. How do you sell that to someone who's like, man, that's my kid? Do I really want them to go all in on being like this, like a painter? He's like, listen, you better be the best painter. Like, like we're going to pull some Banksy, we're going to pull some Banksy paintings. But like how would you, yeah, you understand my concept, my question here? When knowing that the world of technology is coming, I know you can't predict the future, but what does that sell for a parent?
I think the caveat would be to figure out how to make yourself indispensable in the field you want to go into. So if it's music, right? This is kind of a journey I took on just with the community that was around me when I first started. But I know how to write songs in any genre. I know how to produce songs in any genre. I know how to engineer, mix, master, record songs of any genre with analog equipment, with digital equipment, with whatever equipment you have, with whatever software. I know multiple softwares. I know multiple different sets of plugins. I know concepts and fundamentals. So I can, regardless if I have the top of the line plugins, I can make your song sound radio ready with anything. So with a lot of the skills I have, I bring a lot of value to wherever I go as a music entity, as whatever I'm doing. So if you're a graphic designer, figure out how can you make yourself irreplaceable within that space. Maybe it's creating a platform where you teach other kids how to graphic design at the same time that you're producing your art. So now you have this subscriber base of people paying you monthly, and you got 500,000 of them, and regardless of if companies are hiring you, you still have these people paying your bills or whatever every month. Or with people, there's no question of ownership. Like, you can go graphic design something for Nickelodeon, and you can easily sign away those rights to that, and they own it. That's a lot easier of a process than dealing with this AI situation, which is why, as of right now, you can't use AI and design anything for any of these studios.
Because it's technically not your...
Exactly.
It's not your work.
To any degree. So you have to either hand draw it or draw it in the program. It has to be all original, your creation. You can't use AI for any of it. So, I mean, find out how you can make yourself irreplaceable or dispensable in that space. Because and that's not like an easy 5 seconds, you got it. That's going to take some time to think about. Like, think about it and, yeah, come up with that and then go do it.
Last question. You mentioned that you're not just an educator. You have so many other things in the world that you are like really in the works on. Can you kind of enlighten on some of those things?
So for me, I kind of I hyper focused on artist educator is the title I kind of
coined, yeah.
And I guess I'll put DJ on there at the end of that too.
Yeah.
But with the DJ thing, I'm getting more into vibe curation. So whether that's me physically DJing an event or a party, or me, now I'm getting into throwing parties and curating a vibe for people to come and have a good time and enjoy themselves. So that's also a big thing that I'm starting to grow more within myself as well. So yeah, I'm trying to hone in and master certain things as it relates to what am I good at. So when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, this is what I ask my students. First, it's like, what do you want to do? Like, if you could wave a magic wand and do anything, what would that look like?
Boom.
If you don't know, if you're like, I don't know, I'm not really interested in anything. My next question is, what are you good at? What would you say you're better than the average person at, or what comes to you somewhat easily that you don't have to try as hard at? If you're good at something, that's another career, that's another business you can start and get paid for. If you don't know what you're good at, what do people compliment you on a lot? Like, hey, you're pretty good at this, or you should think about doing that. What do you get? What compliment do you repeatedly get? So I'm in a space where, and it's funny, like me doing this with my students, at the same time, I'm almost doing it to myself. So now I'm like, okay, I know how to do lots of different things, but what am I really good at? I'm really good at being an artist. I'm really good at being an educator and connecting with the students. And I'm really good at building connections, networking, making people feel welcome, making people feel heard. And my energy, just people want to be around it. So I'm like, all right, that's 3 different things right there. Let me just focus on those areas, and all my other skill sets will help to uplift the 3 main pillars that I'm using to build my house of what I want to do.
Damn. Yo, if you did not hear what, dude, this was like, yo, I have so much to think about now. Like, I don't think you really understood kind of like the perspective shift that you kind of made. But you almost could see it all. Like, you're such in a really cool spot. Like, because not only do you create your own, right? Mm-hmm. Not only do you see from the younger, see where you are now, right? You kind of also been using the tools. Like, you're kind of in this really sweet kind of area where you can kind of like see a piece of what the future's going to be, in about 10 years from now, right? And if people heed your warnings, right? Like, hey, man, if you got a kid, parents, teachers, anyone out there, if you got a kid, you got a cousin, you got a friend, you got someone out there who's like, yo, I want to do this, support them, because that could literally not only, right, raise them up, but who do you think they're gonna bring up with you, right? You got a homie who's like, you're able to build this like ecosystem around each other, and it's a really cool thing. I think your psychology is, I think your philosophy is almost literally spot on.